Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It's crazy warm out today for the middle of January, even for the Ozarks. I mean, I'm in short sleeves and I was breaking sweat by 9 o'clock this morning outside. That's kind of weird, but it's all going to change because Saturday they're predicting a big blizzard. Actually, some accumulation, depending on who you check around here, because if anyone knows about the Ozarks, the weather here is more erratic probably than anywhere else. And there is actual scientific basis for that, but I won't go into that in this video. They're saying anywhere between 2 and I've seen all the way on the high end of 8 inches of snow of where we are at. So it'll change soon enough. Anyways, wanted to talk to you today about, there's some things going on and it's kind of running around on the internet. The news media is almost completely ignoring all of it, at least good parts of it. And then there seems to be this growing feeling amongst folks like you and I that something is about to happen. I normally don't do videos just based on a feeling or just based on other people's feelings, but I will have to say that in the last couple of days, between comments on YouTube, comments on Facebook, messages, emails, I've received a lot of people commenting, telling me that, pointing out this is happening or this is going on, and they just feel that something's about ready to change. And then this morning, I got online, just checking the news, doing a little research, and I saw a lot of people saying the same thing, a lot of posts and stuff. So I just want to say that I'm not saying that all this is actually going to happen. I mean, we can't completely base our actions and what we do and how we prepare just on a feeling. But on the other hand, there is some of it's a little thin, but there's certainly some circumstantial evidence to indicate that things are changing, something's moving, something's shaking, something could happen soon. So I think it's worthy of talking about and just taking notice of it, preparing a little bit, kind of bracing ourselves. Most preparations, at least in the physical, mental, that psychological of getting ready, bracing yourself, really doesn't take any effort to do. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just getting yourself a little bit more ready. So I want to talk about that today. First thing, how many of you seen this stuff about what's going on at the White House? And this is one of those things that no one's talking about. I spent at least 15 minutes searching, which that's a long time for me. 15 minutes searching the internet, looking for news articles covering this. And this has been going on, I think, since yesterday, maybe the day before. They are putting up what appears to be some type of concrete wall around the White House, between the White House and the outer fence. Stick is getting in my way here. Anyways, and there's a lot of people that's taking pictures of it and they're posting it online and they're asking what's going on. I have yet to see, if there is one out there, please, let me know about it. But I have yet to see an actual news article from somewhat of a legitimate news source talking about it at all. None whatsoever. I haven't seen any questions posed to the president or spokespersons or anything like that. So it's kind of interesting that it's just huge hush-hush, even from what some might consider as conservative media. And they're putting what it appears to be, and what all the people that are kind of there in DC are saying, that it's a big concrete, looks like a 10-foot tall concrete wall. It's funny because we're told by the Democrats, by the left, that walls don't work, that we don't need a wall on our border because they don't actually work. And yet they sure like putting walls around themselves. Anyway, so that's happening. And, up until this past year, we've never really seen anything like that around the White House and the Capitol building. We live in a free society, or supposed to be, okay? I get it. We're supposed to live in a free society. And typically in those kind of societies, you don't see this, where the rulers have to wall themselves off from the peasants, because there isn't really any fear of a violent overthrowing and all that. So this is interesting. Then, just a few days ago, and I talked about this, and how I talked about how I believe it was extremely worrisome that it was certainly something to take notice, is this formation, the Justice Department forming a domestic terrorist unit to specifically investigate, prosecute, arrest domestic terrorists. And while some of their definition of that are, most anyone would agree that yes, okay, that kind of person is bad and needs to lock up. They're a little thin and vague on some areas of what they are deeming a domestic terrorist, what qualifies in their terms. And so that's worrisome. And so that's happening while they're putting a wall up around the White House. Makes you wonder if there's like some kind of planned event that could spark the need for this new unit. I don't know. And then on top of that, there was in the news, not a lot, okay? And before you kind of blow up, let me finish this one. That the U.S. Army, South Carolina, they're conducting a war game. This, I believe, Robin Sage event, which is where they take special forces troops, and they have other people, they're current and veterans and civilians and stuff, and they basically act like they are, this resistance, rebellious movement, and the troops are trying to quell that rebellion. And they've announced that they're going to be having that here in the next few weeks. So a lot of people are questioning the formation of this unit, the wall being built around the White House, and now this little war game. But here's the thing, before we jump to too many conclusions, the war game that they're conducting, they've been doing this since the 70s. This is not anything new. Now, if this was the first time, if this was something I'd be a little bit more concerned. This is something that's been going on for a while. Now, the only part that kind of concerns me is the talking about it in mainstream media. Are they just trying to, cash in on people's fear and stoke a little bit more fear just to sell some more advertising dollars? Most likely that's probably yes. But is there also something else going on? Are they talking about this even though they know? And if you read the article, they flat out say that this has been going on since the 70s. It's been going on almost 50 years, this kind of annual training event. This is one of the key training exercises to get into Special Forces, the Green Berets. So it's interesting that they're talking about it. If they know this and they're talking about it, they're either A, doing it just to, instoke a little bit more fear and sell some more advertising dollars, or B, it's because they're kind of getting people prepared. I don't know, another, is this like a Jade Helm kind of thing? Or is it just simply media just trying to cash in on fear? And that's very possibly all that it is. And so I don't want people to, erupt into some type of fearful excitement because of this. But it's certainly, strange that it's all being mentioned at the same time of these other two events that I previously spoke about. So that's going on. Then we have, the president and everyone else in his administration is pushing so hard for, what? And then we have the president saying this. And I want to show you this video clip. I believe this was from this morning. It's not so much what he says, I think. It's his tone. And it is what he says. Just kind of putting it all together that we need to, he's calling out the media and the tech companies to increase their censorship. And just listen to this.
While our military is stepping up, as they always do, there are others sitting on the sidelines, and we're standing in the way. If you haven't gotten vaccinated, do it. Personal choice impacts us all, our hospitals, our countries. I make a special appeal to social media companies and media outlets. Please deal with the misinformation and disinformation that's on your shows. It has to stop.
I mean, does that fit with the previous things that I've mentioned? Maybe, maybe not. I think that it's this kind of stuff that we're seeing on a daily basis. News breaking, little stuff leaking, politicians and their surrogates talking about things and what they're saying and how they're saying it, putting it all together. I think it's it's causing some uneasiness. You know, we talked about yesterday of the supply chain issues. We talked about inflation. So people are already on edge because of that. They're already on edge every time they go to the grocery store and they see less and less stuff on their shelves. In the back of their mind, they're wondering at what point will there not be anything? At what point will I not even be able to enter this store unless I comply with their orders? I mean, they're doing that for medical treatment in a lot of places, and if they're restricting certain medical services to people based on, you know, whatever they comply with, then why wouldn't they do that with food? So there's that on people's mind. There's the fact that inflation is just going up, but it seems to be pretty rapid. I mean, maybe not to the levels of hyperinflation, but it's going up every month pretty consistently. And a lot of other things are, you know, in the economic world aren't looking very good at all. And so you have all that stuff going on domestically. And then internationally, we have, you know, what looks to be the beginnings, the makings of a pretty significant war between us, Russia, Ukraine, and probably a whole lot of other countries. Recent reports out of the Ukrainian, Russian, American ordeal is that basically the peace talks didn't go so well. They're pretty much at a standstill. Russia is continually bringing more equipment and troops into the area. There's no indication that they're backing down. There have been everything from U.S. ambassadors to the Polish government making statements that we are on the verge of World War III. Like this is not going good, and we're on the verge of it. And so there's that going on. And how does that play into the other things that I was talking about domestically? Well, I think it plays into a lot. Is one a distraction for the other, or are they both a distraction for each other? I think we're certainly going to see something increase more over in Russia. There's so much tension there right now. I mean, we're talking like actual trench warfare. They're entrenched in actual World War I style trench warfare. And in those kind of situations where they can literally see the opposing forces just a few yards over the line, it's not going to take very long for someone to fire off an accidental round or a purposeful round and start a full gauge battle. There's already been shots and mortar rounds shared back and forth across the border for months now, and it's not going to take too much for more to happen there. So we've got that going on, and there's a whole lot more going on in that Russia, you know, Ukraine, American stuff that I haven't even gotten into. The point is that's happening, and then over here in America, we've got what looks to be much more of a military crackdown, a law enforcement crackdown on people that they deem as unfit. They being the government, they being the people in charge, they deem as unfit. And those people that they deem as unfit, it ends up being people like you and I. And so there's a lot of uneasiness right now. Again, it just may be nothing more than feelings. There may not be anything to truly back it up. It may all be completely false. So I don't want to get on here and just start, you know, beating that war drum and getting everyone, you know, hyped up that it's getting ready to happen. But I will say that it does kind of indicate that. It does kind of look that way, that we could be on the brink of both actions here domestically, and what that means, I can't tell you. Does it mean, you know, just actions against folks like you and I, more aggressive actions? Does it mean more Civil War type actions? And then also it seems like we are on the cusp, on the edge of what would most likely be the largest war that the world has ever seen since World War II. Another very large, you know, world war. And for those of you that haven't really thought about it, we haven't faced an adversary of any level of being equal to us since World War II. Okay, every conflict, battle, and war that we've gotten into since then have been with countries and militaries that are much inferior to us. Okay, much inferior. We're dealing with a country that, while they may not be quite as, top of the line technologically as we are. They have a very large force, a very strong force. The Russians are known to be fierce fighters, and they do have a lot of equipment. And then they have allies that can keep their supplies up. So there's a lot of stuff going on two different fronts. And I think because of that, I think the uneasiness amongst folks like you and I is justified. And so I want to just put that out there and let you know, don't get too caught up in it. I don't want you to crouch down in fear and lose sleep and stop eating and all that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just think it's advisable to kind of keep your eyes and ears peeled and get yourselves ready, because it does seem like that we could be at the beginnings of a turn in the road, and who really knows what's on the other side of it. All right, folks. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.